when you mishit it, the benefit you have of taking a club with less loft is it's more likely to still carry the distance. Yeah. So a good club selection accounts for a poor shot, so you can still get a good result. Alrighty, so we've got a par 4.
Yeah.
Driver.
Yep.
Where's your target line?
So my target would have been the 3rd building from the right.
Okay. So one thing I do like is that you're picking something big and in the distance.
Yeah.
Because what a lot of players do is they'll pick something short and in front of them. Let's say like this bunker just in front of us, the edge of it. But if from a mindset perspective, you think about the very first thing you're thinking of over the ball is a bunker, it's not exactly a positive base level, right? Yeah. So something in the distance, which you're doing, is fantastic. Now, once again, we're in this situation here that we can see there's a fair amount of fairway over to the left, and the hole in the pin goes out to the right. And what most people do, and players, and this is one of the biggest mistakes, but it's also probably one of the greatest return on investment strategies that you can use, is your tee box positioning. Yeah. So at the moment, what happens is, out of default, every player usually just comes here, chucks a ball on a tee in the center of the tee box, and they aim up the center of the fairway, and they try and hit a perfect shot.
Yeah. Obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Why wouldn't you?
No problem. Why wouldn't we?
And
it worked after the 10th time on the driving range, so obviously it'll work first time here.
Correct. And pros probably only hit good shots, let's say 6-7 times out of 10 relative to expectations. So their poor shots, bear in mind, aren't as bad as what are recreational golfers, or don't disperse as much, but it's all relative. So if you were, for example, come over here for me, to tee your golf ball up here, where does that look like that wants to direct you?
Well, straight over the bunkers to the back of the bush over there.
Correct. And it kind of brings in all these houses and everything else, right? Yeah. Now, knowing that there's more fairway left than right, if you jump all the way over to this side, naturally with the angle of the hole, you can see how now it opens up.
Does.
So what happens is the more that you shift your ball line over this direction, the more it's actually bringing the trouble into play from just a simple visual perspective.
Yeah, of course.
So what you can do is like a little cheat is you bring your golf ball and you tee it up on the far right-hand side of the tee box here.
Yeah.
And as a general rule of thumb, wherever the worst trouble is, you tee up on that side and you aim away from it. Because then what you're doing is you're allowing yourself more curvature if you mishit it to go there. So chuck your ball down here.
Yeah, because the margin for error going this way is a lot.
Correct, yeah.
Less, yeah. Okay.
And then your objective from here, if we look at that bunker way down in the distance, right, we're going to go at that building behind it, right? So all the way up there, just go through your normal pre-shot routine and let's hit the shot.
Oh.
Perfect. Now, the benefit of that, right, is that you had this huge margin for error if you had all this big curve that went over to the right, and now that's just going to be right in the center of the fairway, and you're going to have a fair shot in.
Okay.
So you'll always see a pro generally tee up on one side of the tee box or the other. Now, a pro does it mainly for their curvature of the golf ball. So they're going to be a little bit more precise with their ability to start the ball on line. Yeah. But for example, with myself here, I'm going to try and hit a little fade, which the ball's going to curve from left to right. Okay. So I'm going to aim at the bunker or the building in the distance up the left there and start it there. Yeah. And then if I over fade it, at least I've got a lot of room over those bunkers there.
Got it. Perfect.
Just like that.
Just like that. So many bunkers and so little area to hit.
So would you say that you're feeling confident?
Yes, very
about
confident.
This?
Very, very confident.
Based on that?
Based on that, I would say definitely aim towards the large tower in the back there.
Well, this is a tough one, right? Because then you can see the bunkers on the right-hand side as well.
Yeah,
and
I was trying to go in between the bunkers.
Thread the needle, huh?
Yeah.
So if we look at where the center of the green is, you've got 125 yards. What club you got there?
7.
So how far does a 7-iron go when you hit it really good, as a guess?
100 and... When it goes really good? 135?
Okay, perfect. So even if you slightly mishit it, right, you're still getting yourself enough distance where it's more than likely going to get close to the front of the green. which is good.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at the way that this hole is, and
Yeah.
think about it from a bird's eye point of view or perspective.
Yeah.
Now, golf course designers are smart, and they know that most players, they always hit to their potential of their distance, not their average. So they place the majority of bunkers short of the green.
Yeah.
Now, where that pin is, if you trace your eyes from the pin towards the back end of the green,
Yeah.
you'll notice there's nothing really back there, just more grass.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
a lot of players are out there fearful of going long,
Yeah.
but if you look at stats, most players are 50% of the time short. And that's simply just because they're always trying to hit to a distance of their potential rather than what's occurring with their ball striking, right? So I would say in this instance, instead of a 7, even though it seems like it is enough, you've got wind and there isn't as much trouble over the back. I would actually take a 6 iron.
Okay.
Because then we're giving ourselves a chance, even if it does go a little bit to the right, of at least clearing those bunkers as well. And for this one here,
Yeah.
we are going to go to the left edge of the biggest building in the background, okay?
Yeah. Left edge to the big building.
Yeah. So ball below your feet, the most important thing here is in your practice swing to feel like you brush the ground, right? Perfect. Because what happens is your body naturally calibrates for the slope when you do that,
Yeah.
rather than thinking about how do I get my club down to the ball when it's below my feet? What adjustments do I make? It just gets too
Yeah,
complicated.
for sure.
So when you brush the ground, that changes your intent, and then you're more likely to get a good shot from there anyway.
Got it.
So do it once more, and then when you're ready, step into the ball and hit the shot. Okay, good try. Now, this is going to be an important lesson in itself.
Yep.
When you mishit it, the benefit you have of taking a club with less loft is it's more likely to still carry the distance.
Yep.
Now, I think that's almost on the green.
Okay.
If you played the exact same shot, let's assume that you took a club with an 8 iron, for example, and you were feeling good and you thought, I can get it there,
Yeah.
and you hit the exact same shot, you would have been short and in the bunker,
Absolutely.
or well short of the green.
Yeah.
So a good club selection accounts for a poor shot, so you can still get a good result.
Okay.
So that was great.
That actually makes sense. Cool.
What do we got here? 93 yards. That's only a little chip shot.
So you obviously asked me to play it on the right of the hole of the green, and how would you do it differently? Like, what would you do now?
So this one's a bit interesting because it's into the wind, but you'll notice the pin looks
Yeah.
quite close to the front of the green.
Yeah.
So for me here, I'm in a position where I want to try and make a birdie, and I'm going to hit a club and play it in such a way where I'm almost trying to land it well past the pin, because the wind's going to buffet it back and hopefully spin it back towards the pin. So if it was downwind, it would be very different, because this would be a tough shot with that pin location.
Yeah.
But seeing as it's into the wind, pins at the front, I'm going to go straight at it because it's only a short distance. I'm going to try and land it. We got 93 yards. I'm going to try and land this at about 105.
Okay. And you would say you're aiming it
Straight at the pin.
Straight at the pin.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because it's such a short shot.
Yeah. Very nicely played.
That'll do.
That'll do.
Second shot's finished back left. You like that lie?
It's okay. It's a little bit downhill and then uphill, which is always, I think, for your head, it's a way. It's easy to pick up the club when you have that kind of positioning of the ball.
Yeah.
So you always have to think like, okay, still go back smooth,
Hmm.
do like a smooth backswing, and then
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to think.
Would you say that's more so a reaction because you're worried about the result?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And you find that a lot of players bias the shot they're about to play
Yeah.
on previous experiences, right? So maybe last time you played a downhill sloping shot, you thinned it over the back of the green,
Yeah.
right? Or you hit it just in front of us.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the time we feel like we need to react to that.
Yeah.
Whereas you just expect to hit bad shots some of the time. And what you want to do is you want to have a clean slate and take the mental assumption that it's going to be a great shot. But all you need to do is rehearse a great shot.
Yeah.
So around the greens more than anything, the biggest benefit that we can have is very similar to if you were going to underarm a ball to that pin, and I was going to give you $1 million if you put it in that hole. I can guarantee that you would stand here, that you would look intently, and you get a feel before you did it.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Most players around the green, they don't even take a practice swing because they're worried about wasting a good shot.
That would be me.
So when we're in this position,
Yeah.
what we need to do is we need to set up very close to the golf ball. You almost want to imagine the ball is in that position. And to execute a reasonable shot here, because that's all we're looking for, is the one thing around the green is you just need to brush the ground in line with where the golf ball would be. Okay, so that's what I want you to do. Great. Now I want you to notice as you do so where the club is hitting the ground.
Oh, behind the ball.
Behind. Now, without changing your stance, what I want you to do is now just focus on brushing the ground more in front. And again. Perfect. So that simple awareness, what most players would do is they would have their practice swings, mainly because they don't know what to look for. Then they would step in, and then let's say you hit behind. Well, it's no wonder because you just rehearsed hitting behind.
Of course.
So on this one, let's set up here. Let's brush the ground, what feels like more in front for me, all right? Good. Now, if you look at the pin, do that once more. Does that feel like the right speed?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say.
Great. So let's do a couple more swings, focusing on brushing the ground. And again. Now put the club behind the ball. One last look at the pin and brush the ground in front. Perfect. So what this does is it takes you out of the whole mentality of what will happen if it goes wrong. And it gives you something tangible that you just rehearsed prior to hitting the shot that you know you can repeat because you just proved to yourself that you could.
Do it multiple times. Right.
Downhill slider right to left. Gloves off.
Gloves off. So what is the story behind taking the glove off on the green? Because I actually have no idea.
What do you think the purpose of a glove is?
Well, for me, it would be no blisters, or less blisters. But I mean, there might be another story behind this, or probably even sweat, right?
Grip.
Yeah. So
Now,
it's
unless
true.
you're swinging this at like 100 miles an hour, which you shouldn't, although I've seen you get angry, maybe when you've got your glove off, you just don't need it. And it just gives you a little bit more feel in the hands.
Okay, so
No technical explanation
no technical explanation.
at all. All right, so we've got a putt here.
Yeah.
What is your level of expectation to hold this putt?
Well, I am a little bit of a perfectionist, so I would say I definitely want to hold it.
Okay.
But I also am a terrible putter because I think it's one of the things I don't like practicing. So when I'm on the course, I have this expectation of successfully finishing my putts, even though I don't actually put in the work.
Okay.
I have the past 2 sessions of my golf lessons, I have done putting now, but I guess the expectation is there to hold a putt with as little practice as possible.
Yeah. Okay. There's nothing like a positive affirmation of telling yourself you're a terrible putter before you go,
I know,
right?
I should have, I'm a brilliant putter
Exactly.
in my mind.
Now, that's certainly part of it,
Yep.
but also a more important part of it is getting out of your own way. Now, if you think about it, you could instruct anyone that's got basic level hand-eye coordination. If we use the underarming analogy for chipping, if you were standing here and you had a ball in your hand and I asked you to roll it close, think about lawn bowls, what would you be thinking of?
I guess slope.
You'd be thinking about getting as close to the hole as possible.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Fair enough. Yeah.
Now, yes, on the way to getting it to the hole, you're going to have slope and distance. But a lot of players undervalue how smart the body and the brain is when you actually shift your intention to something you want to achieve. Right? It's not like if I gave you a ball and you were looking at the hole, you would throw it in the bunker. Well, I'd hope not. But if you were there and you were thinking about the angle of your wrist and the speed in which it was coming off your wrist, you might, because you're actually not focusing on the one thing that really matters. Now, when you're practicing relative to your technique, and if you've got a lesson with a coach and they say something, fair enough. But when you're out here playing, you just got to throw that all in the bag, right? And then you got to stand here, you go, this is ball, this is hole. Within reason, PGA Tour players, statistically for this length of putt, let's say it's 10 foot, they're probably only holding this 40% of the time, which is quite low. So as someone that's out here just for fun, if we can leave it as
expectation then to hold it
exactly.
all the time.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
for you, you've hit a drive, you've hit your second just over here, you've hit a great chip for 3, you've got a putt for a par.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to hold it,
Yeah.
but you just want to get your bogey, right?
Yeah.
And if you just try and think about leaving your ball as close to the hole as possible,
Yeah.
you'll find that more often than not, you'll hit a putt that you'll be happy with and you'll leave yourself a short next one. So what I want you to do is stand right next to the ball, right?
Yeah.
Okay, set your putter down.
Yeah.
And I want you to give me a gut feeling answer. Is the ball gonna turn from right to left on this green or left to right?
Right to left.
Okay, great. So that'll do for this simplistic method of getting the ball close to the hole because it's a short putt.
Yeah.
Now I want you to look at the hole, right?
Yeah.
Now look back at the ball
Yeah.
and think about the hole in your mind as you make a few small practice strokes. And as you do so, get a feeling of speed and length of stroke. Does that feel like it would be the right speed if you hit the ball to put the ball next to the pin?
I would say so.
Okay, now I want you to look at the pin as you do it.
Yeah.
Now make continual strokes back and through, adjusting that feel if necessary, so don't stop. So how does that speed feel?
Feels good.
Okay, great. So now step in,
Yeah.
putter behind, look at the hole, look back at the ball, think about the hole, and
Yeah.
hit the putt. Okay, ball went way too far, right?
Oh.
Did you feel like you struck the ball the same speed or you swing at the same speed as what you did your practice swings?
I think I did.
Great. So that is a skill gap. And what that
Yeah.
means is that then you would go back to the putting green
Yeah.
and you would work on your distance control
Yeah.
of making sure your feel matched up with what actually happened.
Okay.
So that would be for a stock, we need to send the ball from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Now, not accounting for like slope
Yeah.
and distance and everything like that. That's certainly that we can have a discussion about.
Yeah.
But in terms of simplicity for putting, you want to just focus more on what you want to achieve rather than how you're doing
Yeah.
it, right?
Try it again. Maybe also the greens are quite fast here, I would
Yeah.
say.
So
Yeah.
it's always one of those things, right? You have a little bit of a warm up, you get a bit of a feel for it. So look at the hole, right? And have some strokes, just getting a feel for the distance, smooth,
Yeah.
right? So when you're looking down, let me ask you this, what are you looking at?
The grass.
Okay. Just the grass, and you've got a totally vacant mind, not thinking about anything? Or what are you thinking about?
Okay. I guess I would say I'm thinking about my shoulders.
Okay. Imagine
Does that
throwing
make
a
sense?
ball from here to that hole and thinking about your shoulders. You wouldn't.
No.
So what I want you to do is I want you to look at the hole without looking back at the putter. Keep looking at the hole and just feel the weight of the head swinging, okay? Because if you're focusing on your shoulders, that's not connecting it to an outcome.
That's true.
Great. So as I watch you, your stroke's getting smaller and smaller and it's getting relative to now the distance that we're about to putt. So now put the putter behind, right? Look at the hole again, now back and stroke it to the hole. So much better. So that was a great speed. This is
Okay.
just an incredibly
Yeah.
fast putt.
Yeah.
So what it looks like with you, Nikki, is you're just very focused on like what you're doing to get it from
Yeah.
point A to point B. And that's just a product of your lessons.
Yeah.
And that means that on course, this is the sort of thing that you need to do a lot more of.
Yeah.
Because without this bit, it's almost like you're putting to become a robot rather than to shoot a score.
Yeah, that's true.